McHale's Navy made World War II feel funny, chaotic, and unforgettable, as Commander McHale and his crew constantly outsmarted their superiors. Off-screen, however, the real stories were far darker. Behind the laughter were broken marriages, crippling illnesses, financial hardships, and shocking deaths. Today, only one cast member remains alive. Let's see what happened to them and pay tribute to their remarkable legacies. Ernest Borgnine as Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale. Ernest Borgnine was born on January 24, 1917 in Hamden, Connecticut, USA. At 45 years old, he played Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale, the crafty and unconventional commander of PT-73, who constantly found creative ways to outsmart both the enemy and his superiors in MCHALE'S Navy. His performance became the foundation of the series and helped transform the show into one of television's most beloved military comedies. As his popularity soared, his personal life was often far more turbulent than the character he portrayed on screen. Borgnine was married 5 times, including marriages to actress Katie Jurado and actress Erica Remberg. His marriage to Katie Jurado became especially volatile, filled with jealousy, emotional confrontations, and constant media scrutiny. The relationship deteriorated into one of Hollywood's most publicized divorces of the era, ending in 1963 while he was still enjoying enormous success on television. While navigating those personal struggles, Borgnine continued building a legendary career. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for Marty, 1955, appeared in classics such as From Here to Eternity, 1953, and The Dirty Dozen, 1967, and remained one of Hollywood's busiest actors for decades. In his later years, however, chronic kidney disease gradually weakened his health. The illness became increasingly severe, requiring ongoing medical treatment and causing significant complications as he entered his 90s. Ernest Borgnine died on July 8, 2012, at the age of 95 in Los Angeles, California. The cause of death was kidney failure. He was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, leaving behind a career that spanned more than 60 years and earned him a place among the most respected actors of his generation. Joe Flynn as Captain Wallace B. Binghamton. Joe Flynn was born on November 8, 1924, in Youngstown, Ohio, USA. At 38 years old, he played Captain Wallace B. Binghamton, the strict, easily frustrated commanding officer who spent much of his time trying to discipline McHale and the crew of PT-73. His constant battles with McHale created many of the show's funniest moments and made Binghamton one of the series' most memorable characters. The success of the role came after years of personal and professional struggles. Flynn originally considered a religious vocation and attended a seminary school before choosing a different path. During World War II, he served in the United States Army Medical Corps. After the war, he spent years playing supporting roles while facing financial uncertainty and the frustration of being repeatedly typecast as gruff authority figures. At home, he found stability with his wife, Shirley Flynn, whom he remained married to throughout his career. As his television fame grew, Flynn expanded his resume with appearances in productions such as The Love Bug, 1968, and The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, 1969. Behind the scenes, however, he struggled with serious cardiovascular problems. Years of heart disease placed increasing strain on his health, though he continued working and pursuing new projects despite recurring medical concerns. Joe Flynn died on July 19, 1974, at the age of 49 in Beverly Hills, California. He was found at the bottom of the swimming pool at his home after apparently suffering a fatal heart attack while swimming. Although the official cause of death was determined to be a heart attack related to his long-standing heart condition, his sudden death sparked considerable speculation at the time. His passing shocked Hollywood, as he was still actively working and planning future projects. Tim Conway as Ensign Charles Parker. Tim Conway was born on December 15, 1933, in Willoughby, Ohio, USA. At 29 years old, he played Ensign Charles Parker, the young, often overwhelmed naval officer tasked with supervising McHale's unpredictable crew. His flawless comic timing made Parker one of the show's funniest characters and introduced millions of viewers to a performer who would become a comedy legend. Behind the laughter, Conway carried the scars of a difficult beginning. In 1961, he married Mary Ann Dalton, and the couple had 6 children together. However, after nearly 20 years of marriage, the relationship ended in a painful divorce in 1981 that strained family relationships. He later rebuilt his personal life with Charlene Fusco, whom he married in 1984 and remained devoted to for the rest of his life. As stability returned to his personal life, Conway's career reached extraordinary heights. His work on The Carol Burnett Show earned him 6 Emmy Awards, while films such as The Apple Dumpling Gang, 1975, and The World's Greatest Athlete, 1973, expanded his popularity beyond television. During that years, he battled normal pressure hydrocephalus, a neurological disorder that caused memory loss, difficulty walking, cognitive decline, and repeated hospitalizations. Multiple medical procedures were performed, but the disease continued to progress and severely affected his quality of life. Tim Conway died on May 14, 2019, at the age of 85 in Los Angeles, California. His death resulted from complications associated with normal pressure hydrocephalus. Following a private family service, tributes poured in from across the entertainment world, celebrating a comedian whose work brought laughter to audiences for more than half a century. Carl Ballantine as Lester Gruber. Carl Ballantine was born on September 27, 1917, in Chicago, Illinois, USA. At 45 years old, he played Lester Gruber, the PT-73 crew's clumsy but lovable torpedo expert, whose mishaps frequently added comic chaos to life aboard the boat in MCHALE'S Navy. His unique blend of deadpan humor and physical comedy helped make Gruber one of the show's most popular supporting characters. Long before television fame arrived, Ballantine faced significant hardship. Born Meyer Kessler into a poor Jewish family, he began working as a child to help support his parents. He later reinvented himself as Carl Ballantine and developed a deliberately incompetent magician act that transformed failure into comedy. In 1955, he married actress Cecile Cabot, and the couple remained together for 45 years until her death in 2000. Like many entertainers of his generation, he faced financial uncertainty as live nightclub performances declined and television increasingly dominated the entertainment industry. While maintaining a successful marriage, Ballantine continued building a diverse career. In addition to his work on MCHALE'S Navy, he appeared in the feature film adaptation MCHALE'S Navy, 1964, performed regularly in Las Vegas, and later became known to younger audiences through appearances in shows such as The Cosby Show and Alice. His longevity in entertainment was remarkable, allowing him to remain active well into his later years without any major public health crises. Carl Ballantine died on November 3, 2009, at the age of 92 in Hollywood, California. He passed away peacefully from natural causes associated with advanced age. By the time of his death, he had spent more than 7 decades entertaining audiences as both a comedian and magician, leaving behind a legacy unlike anyone else in Hollywood. Billy Sands as Tinker Bell. Billy Sands was born on May 6, 1911, in New York City, New York, USA. At 51 years old, he played Tinker Bell, the skilled mechanic and repair specialist responsible for keeping PT-73 operating despite constant breakdowns and wartime challenges in the movie. His humorous performance and technical know-how made him an important part of the crew's success throughout the series. Sands reached television fame only after decades of hardship. Born in 1911, he spent years taking tiny stage and screen parts, because his short stature and ordinary appearance kept him far from leading man roles. He had to rely on persistence, small comedy parts, and character work before finally becoming widely recognized at age 51 as Tinker Bell. His private family life stayed mostly hidden, but the pressure of supporting loved ones through unstable acting work followed him for much of his career. As his career progressed, Sands became a familiar face to television audiences through appearances in productions such as I Dream of Jeannie and McHale's Navy. While he enjoyed steady work, his later years were dominated by a painful battle with lung cancer. The disease gradually weakened him physically and placed a significant emotional and financial burden on those closest to him as medical treatments became increasingly intensive. Billy Sands died in August 1984 at the age of 73. The cause of death was lung cancer after a lengthy and difficult illness. His passing came only months before the death of former co-star Gary Vinson, creating a particularly heartbreaking year for fans of the beloved television series. Gary Vinson as George Christopher. Gary Vinson was born on October 22, 1936 in Los Angeles, California, USA. At 26 years old, he played George Christopher, the energetic and good-natured member of the PT-73 crew who was always ready to join McHale's latest scheme in McHale's Navy. His youthful charm helped make the crew feel like a believable group of friends rather than just a collection of comic characters. After the series ended, Vinson's biggest struggle was being trapped under the shadow of George Christopher. From 1962 to 1966, the role made him recognizable, but it also made casting directors see him as the same cheerful young sailor again and again. His later work in The Love Boat and The Incredible Hulk never gave him the same stability, while a failed marriage, growing debts, depression, and substance abuse pushed his private life into a painful downward spiral. As professional opportunities declined, Vinson continued appearing in television series such as The Love Boat and The Incredible Hulk, but these were mostly guest appearances rather than long-term roles. The lack of steady success contributed to severe depression, and he reportedly turned to substance abuse while battling mounting debts and personal setbacks. Friends later described a man struggling to cope with disappointment after years of trying to rebuild the momentum he had once enjoyed. Gary Vinson died on October 15, 1984, at the age of 47. According to reports, he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at his California home after a prolonged struggle with depression. His tragic death shocked many former colleagues and remains one of the saddest stories associated with the cast of the series. Edson Stroll as Virgil Edwards. Edson Stroll was born on January 6, 1929 in Chicago, Illinois, USA. At 33 years old, he played Virgil Edwards, the handsome and smooth-talking member of the PT-73 crew who was often involved in the show's romantic and comedic storylines. His good looks and easygoing charm made him one of the most recognizable younger faces on the series. Behind that confident image was a far more difficult story. Stroll grew up in a working-class Jewish family and endured the emotional fallout of his parents' bitter divorce while the family struggled financially. After serving in the U.S. Navy, he turned to modeling and became a popular beefcake model during the 1950s. Despite often portraying romantic characters, he never married and spent much of his life living alone, choosing independence over complicated relationships. As his acting career developed, Stroll appeared in productions such as Snow White and the Three Stooges, 1961, and later became a familiar television face through numerous guest appearances. Eventually, he stepped away from Hollywood and completely reinvented himself, becoming a licensed commercial ship captain, maritime surveyor, and Coast Guard specialist. During his final years, he quietly battled cancer while remaining largely out of the public eye. Edson Stroll died on May 4, 2011, at the age of 82 after several months of fighting cancer. Having left Hollywood decades earlier, he spent his final years living a quiet life away from fame. According to friends, his closest companions near the end were his beloved dogs, who remained by his side throughout his illness. Yoshio Yoda as Fuji Kobayashi. Yoshio Yoda was born on August 31, 1934, in Tokyo, Japan. At 28 years old, he played Fuji Kobayashi, the former Japanese prisoner of war who became a loyal member of MCHALE'S crew and often found himself caught between cultural misunderstandings and comic situations in MCHALE'S Navy. His performance brought a unique dimension to the series and made Fuji one of the show's most distinctive characters. Behind the laughter was a life shaped by war and prejudice. Yoda spent his childhood in wartime Japan, enduring food shortages, air raids, and the hardships that followed World War II. In 1964, he married Japanese model Yoko Okazaki, and the couple faced the challenge of balancing Japanese traditions with American life during an era when interracial and international marriages often attracted unwanted attention. Rather than remain trapped in stereotypical roles, Yoda made a bold decision after the series ended. He largely stepped away from acting, adopted the name James Yoda, became a U.S. citizen, and built a successful corporate career with Toyota. Through decades of dedication, he eventually rose to become a senior executive and vice president within Toyota's Hawaii operations. His remarkable transition from actor to business leader made his life story one of the most unusual among the cast. Yoshio Yoda died in 2023 at the age of 88. He passed away peacefully in California after living a long life that bridged two cultures and two very different careers. Today, he remained remembered by fans for bringing warmth, humor, and dignity to one of television's most beloved military comedies. Bob Hastings as Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter. Bob Hastings was born on April 18, 1925, in Brooklyn, New York, USA. At 37 years old, he played Lieutenant Elroy Carpenter, Captain Binghamton's loyal but often flustered executive officer who frequently found himself caught in the middle of MCHALE'S latest schemes in MCHALE'S Navy. His chemistry with Joe Flynn helped create many of the show's funniest military misunderstandings. Long before television success arrived, Hastings experienced the realities of war firsthand. During World War II, he served as a bomber crew member in the United States Army Air Forces. The loss of fellow servicemen and the constant threat of death left emotional scars that he rarely discussed publicly. In 1948, he married Joan Rice, and their marriage lasted more than 65 years until his death, making it one of Hollywood's longest-lasting relationships. Through decades of career highs and lows, she remained a constant source of support. While maintaining that stable family life, Hastings built an impressive career that stretched across radio, television, film, and voice acting. He became widely known as the voice of Commissioner James Gordon in Batman, the animated series, and appeared in popular programs such as All in the Family and General Hospital. During the final 15 years of his life, however, he fought a difficult battle with prostate cancer. The disease required repeated treatments, hospital stays, and ongoing medical care as his health gradually declined. Bob Hastings died on June 30, 2014, at the age of 89 in Burbank, California. His death followed a lengthy struggle with prostate cancer that had weakened him for many years. Surrounded by family, he left behind a career spanning more than 7 decades and a reputation as one of the most dependable performers in American television history. John Wright as Willie Moss. John Wright was born in 1942 in the United States. At 20 years old, he played Willie Moss, one of the youngest sailors aboard PT-73, whose youthful energy helped bring extra life and humor to the crew in MCHALE'S Navy. His appearance on the series introduced viewers to a performer who was already carrying the weight of a famous family name. That pressure followed him throughout much of his early life. Better known in country music circles as Bobby Wright, he was the son of legendary country stars Johnny Wright and Kitty Wells. Growing up in one of country music's most famous families meant living under enormous expectations of Johnny and Kitty's son. He eventually found stability with his wife, Brenda K. Davis, whose support helped him build a quieter and more balanced life away from Hollywood. Although acting brought him early attention, music ultimately became his primary focus. In addition to appearing in productions such as Pistols and Petticoats, 1966, he spent years performing country music and contributing to the family legacy established by his parents. Choosing family and music over celebrity allowed him to avoid many of the personal scandals and career pressures that affected other performers of his generation. As of 2026, John Wright is 84 years old and remains one of the few surviving members of the PT-73 cast. He has largely stepped away from public life and enjoys a quiet retirement. Remembered by fans both for his connection to country music royalty and for his time aboard one of television's most beloved comedy crews. Gavin MacLeod, as Happy Gavin MacLeod, was born on February 28, 1931, in Mount Kisco, New York, USA. At 31 years old, he played Happy, the cheerful and dependable member of the PT-73 crew who helped bring warmth and humor to the movie. The role introduced audiences to an actor who would later become one of television's most recognizable stars. Success did not erase the difficulties he carried from childhood. His second marriage to actress Patti Steele collapsed in 1982 after years of tension fueled by his alcoholism, career pressures, and personal mistakes. The divorce became a painful turning point in his life. Determined to change, he quit drinking, embraced his Christian faith, and accomplished something almost unheard of in Hollywood by remarrying Patti Steele in 1985. Their reconciliation became one of the entertainment industry's most remarkable second-chance love stories. As he rebuilt his personal life, his career reached even greater heights. He became internationally famous as Murray Slaughter on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and later as Captain Merrill Steubing on The Love Boat, a role he played for nearly a decade. He also appeared in productions such as Operation Petticoat and The Dick Van Dyke Show. After overcoming alcoholism, he spent many years speaking publicly about faith, recovery, and family, becoming an inspiration to others facing similar struggles. Gavin MacLeod died on May 29, 2021, at the age of 90 in Palm Desert, California. His death was attributed to natural causes associated with advanced age. By the time of his passing, he had completed a television career spanning more than 60 years and remained remembered both for his iconic roles and for rebuilding his life after years of personal hardship. Roy Roberts, as Admiral Rogers. Roy Roberts was born on March 19, 1906, in Dade City, Florida, USA. At 57 years old, he played Admiral Rogers, the senior naval officer whose authority occasionally brought him into contact with the chaotic world of McHale and his crew in MCHALE'S Navy. His commanding screen presence made him a natural fit for military leaders, judges, police chiefs, and government officials throughout his long career. The road to Hollywood success was shaped by hardship and perseverance. He married Lillian Moore and kept his family life largely removed from Hollywood's spotlight. Despite appearing in more than 90 films and countless television programs, he spent much of his career fighting the limitations of typecasting, repeatedly being assigned stern authority figures rather than the more emotionally complex roles he hoped to explore. Even with those frustrations, Roberts built one of the most reliable careers in the industry. Audiences recognized him from House of Wax, 1953, The Enforcer, 1951, and later television hits such as The Beverly Hillbillies. His distinctive appearance and authoritative voice kept him in steady demand for decades. In his final years, however, he began experiencing serious cardiovascular problems that gradually affected his health. Roy Roberts died on May 28, 1975, at the age of 69 in Los Angeles, California. The cause of death was a sudden heart attack brought on by cardiovascular disease. His passing ended a career that had lasted more than 4 decades and earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most dependable character actors. Henry Beckman as Colonel Harrigan. Henry Beckman was born on September 26, 1921, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. At 44 years old, he played Colonel Harrigan, the stern Marine Corps colonel and superior officer whose inspections and military authority frequently created headaches for McHale and the PT-73 crew. His commanding presence made him a natural fit for military roles and helped strengthen the show's wartime setting. The path to success was shaped by both war and personal hardship. Beckman grew up in a family that frequently relocated in search of work, forcing him to adapt to constant change from an early age. His first marriage eventually ended in divorce, as the demands of a traveling acting career created strains that neither side could overcome. Later, he found lasting happiness with his second wife, Hilary Vernon, who remained his partner through the remainder of his life. Despite those challenges, Beckman built a remarkably durable career. He became widely known as Captain Clancy in Here Come the Brides, and appeared in numerous television classics including Kojak, The Rockford Files, and Hawaii Five-0. Known for his professionalism and reliability, he accumulated hundreds of screen credits while earning the respect of colleagues throughout the industry. Henry Beckman died on June 17, 2008, at the age of 86 in Barcelona, Spain, while traveling with his wife. His death was attributed to complications associated with advanced age. After a career spanning more than 5 decades, he left behind a legacy as one of the most dependable supporting actors of his generation. Mako Iwamatsu, as the Japanese soldier. Mako was born on December 10, 1933, in Kobe, Japan. At 28 years old, he played the Japanese soldier, a Japanese serviceman encountered by MCHALE'S crew during the Pacific War setting of MCHALE'S Navy. Though his appearance was brief, it came early in the career of a performer who would later become one of the most influential Asian actors in Hollywood history. His life was shaped by war, separation, and discrimination. He spent much of his childhood being raised by relatives amid wartime hardship, food shortages, and bombings before finally reuniting with his parents in America. After arriving in the United States, he encountered intense racial prejudice and found that opportunities for Asian actors were often limited to stereotypes. These barriers fueled his determination to create better opportunities for future generations. Rather than accept Hollywood's limitations, Mako fought to change them. He earned an Academy Award nomination for The Sand Pebbles, 1966, appeared in acclaimed productions such as Conan the Barbarian, 1982, and Rising Sun, 1993, and co-founded the groundbreaking East-West Players Theater Company. During his final years, however, he battled esophageal cancer, a disease that gradually weakened him despite continuing to work. Mako died on July 21, 2006, at the age of 72 in Somis, California. The cause of death was esophageal cancer. His passing was mourned throughout the entertainment industry, and he remains widely recognized as one of the pioneers who opened doors for generations of Asian and Asian American actors in Hollywood. So, after more than 6 decades, the cast of MCHALE'S Navy took very different journeys. Some enjoyed long lives and lasting success, while others faced heartbreak, illness, and tragic endings far from the spotlight. Which cast member's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more Then and Now 2026 updates on the stars you grew up watching.